Welcome pre-cal students to the homework help video. The assignment is here in front of you on the screen here, and so go ahead and open your books up to that page, have your homework out, have your questions ready, and hopefully you can get some of your questions answered. Okay, we're going to start off with numbers 3 through 23, every other odd, and we're solving simple linear equations. So this shouldn't be too difficult. Let's go ahead and solve these equations. On number 3, I want to get x by itself, so I'm going to take this positive 3, bring it over to the left side and make it a negative 3. Alright, so I'm left with 4x equals, remember this is gone, we took it to the other side, 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Now next we want to get rid of the x, so we divide by 4, we divide by 4, these x's cancel, and your answer is a negative divided by a positive is a negative, and 3 divided by 4 is simply 3/4. Okay, there's your answer, and let's continue on. Number 7. Alright, we want to get x by itself, so we're going to take this negative 3, we're going to cross it off, we're going to bring it over to the other side, and it becomes a positive 3. So now I'm left with 8 plus 3 is 11, bring down your 5x, and now we're going to divide both sides by 5. On the right side, when you divide by 5, you're left with x only, and 11 divided by 5 is simply 11/5, or if you would like to put 2 and 1/5, that would be acceptable also. Okay, so there's the answer to number 7, 2 and 1/5 or 11/5. Alright, number 11. Well, now we have the problem of having two x's on both sides of the equation, and also constant terms on both sides of the equation. Now look, it really doesn't matter whether you bring the 2x over here and make it a negative 2x, or whether you bring the x over here and make it a negative x. It doesn't matter, okay? But you choose whether you want to move the x's to this side, the left side, or to the right side. For me, I'm going to bring this positive x over and make it a negative x, and I'm going to take this positive 7 and I'm going to bring it over and I'm going to make it a negative 7. So now I have 2x minus x, that's x, and then positive 3, negative 7 would be negative 4, and there's nothing else to do. If you have a 1 right here in front of the x and you want to divide both sides by 1, that's fine, but negative 4 divided by 1 is still going to be 1. Okay, so the answer is negative 4. Let's take a look at number 15. Alright, same dilemma here. I'm going to go ahead and take my positive 7x, cross it off, and bring it over here and make it a negative 7x. I'm going to take my negative 5, cross it off, bring it over here and make it a positive 5. So now what I'm left with is 4 minus 7 would be negative 3x, and negative 2 positive 5 would be 3. And now we're going to divide both sides by negative 3 to get rid of this negative 3 right here, so that x will be all by itself. So these negative 3's cancel, and 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1. So the answer to number 15 would be negative 1. Let's take a look at number 19. A little bit of a glare on this one, so I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. This is a 6 right here. And then on the right side we have 11 minus x plus 2. 11 minus x plus 2. Alright, now on this left side over here, do notice, please students, that we have some simplifying we can do. Do you notice how there's a 7 outside the parentheses here? So I can take that 7 and multiply it through. You really don't want to start moving terms around like we did over here until you've simplified the left side and the right side. Now the last problems that we did, there was no simplifying you could do. In number 15, you can't combine unlike terms. Same thing in number 11. You cannot combine unlike terms. So there was no simplifying that we could do on this side right here or on this side here. Okay? But here in number 19, that's not true. There is some simplifying we can do. And so we're going to go ahead and do that now. Here we go. So 7 times 3x is 21x. 7 times 6 is positive 42. Now, can I take this side any further? Well, the answer is no. You have an x term and a constant term. You cannot combine unlike terms. Now over here on the right side, there's a negative sign out in front of the parentheses. So you're basically taking a negative sign and you're multiplying it through. So bring down your 11. Negative times a positive x would be a negative x. Negative times a positive 2 would be a negative 2. Very good. Now I can simplify this right side a little further, okay? 11 negative 2 is 9. So I can take this term here and this term here and put them together because they're like terms. They're both constant terms. So 11 minus 2 is 9. And now bring down the rest of the problem over here on the left side. Now, remember, our next goal is to get the x's on one side and the constant terms on the other. So I'm going to take this negative x right here, and I'm going to bring it over to the other side and put a positive x, okay? Then I'm going to take this positive 42, I'm going to cross it off. I'm going to bring it over here and put a negative 42. All right, bring down your equal sign. 21x plus x, remember there's really a 1 there. 21x plus 1x would be 22x. And then negative 42 and a positive 9 would be a negative 33. Okay? So now I divide both sides by 22 so that x will be by itself. These cancel and you're left with x equals a negative 33 divided by a positive 22 makes the whole fraction become negative. And 11 goes into both these numbers. 11 goes into 33 3 times, and 11 goes into 22 2 times. So when you reduce that fraction, you get 3 halves, negative 3 halves. Or if you want to put negative 1 and 1 half, that is acceptable also. Okay? And that's number 19. Let's take a look at number 23. Again, a little bit of a glare. Let me see if I can fix this real quick for you guys. 3 minus 5, inside the parentheses it'll be 2x plus 1. Alright, so here we go. Can we simplify the left side? Sure we can. We could take this 2 and multiply it through. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Next, can we simplify over here? Sure we can. Bring down your 3. Then you've got a negative 5 you're going to multiply through this parentheses. So negative 5 times 2x would be a negative 10x, and a negative 5 times 1 is a negative 5. Now, I cannot simplify any more over here because I have two unlike terms. However, over here, I have a positive 3 and a negative 5. They're like terms. I can put them together. So, a positive 3 and a negative 5 is a negative 2. And then bring down your negative 10x. Over here on the left side, I will bring down my 2x, and I will bring down my negative 8. Let me get a drink here real quick. And now let's continue solving this equation. See this negative 10x? I'm going to cross it off, bring it to the other side, and put a positive 10x. See this negative 8? I'm going to cross it off, bring it to the other side, and I'm going to put a positive 8. Now bring down your equal sign so everything stays lined up real nice and orderly. A negative 2 and a positive 8 gives you a positive 6, and a 2 plus a 10 gives you a 12x. Now we're going to divide by 12 because we want to get x by itself. So divide by 12, divide by 12, these 12s cancel, and you're left with 1 half. So the answer to the problem is 1 half. Okay, that's number 23. All right, moving on to the next section we're looking at, which will be numbers, let's see, 63 and 65. And the directions for 63 and 65 simply say find the zero of the function. Find the zero of the function. Well, remember, when you're asked to find a zero, you're really being asked to find the x-intercept. And whenever you're looking for the x-intercept, you know you put 0 in for y. Now there's no y, but we can definitely cross off f of x and put y equals x plus 5. And then go ahead and substitute 0 in for y like you're supposed to do. And now let's solve for x. Simply take this positive 5, move it over to the other side, and you would have a negative 5. Bring down your equal sign. Bring down your x. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. So you just found the 0 of this function, or the x-intercept, however you want to look at it, and it's not very difficult. Let's do one more just like this. For number 65, we're being asked to find the zeros of this function, or the x-intercept. So instead of looking at this as f of x, I'm going to look at it like it's y, and then where the y is, I'm going to substitute 0. All right. So I'm going to I want to get the x all by itself. So I'm going to bring the positive 18 over to the other side, and when I do, it becomes a negative 18. So let's see what we're left over with. 0 minus 18 is negative 18. And bring down your negative x. Now, even though you can't see it, there's really a 1 right here, a negative 1x. And so because of that, I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 1 to get rid of this negative 1. Now let's see what happens here. Your negative 1's cancel out, leaving you with x, and a negative 18 and a negative 1, when you divide them, gives you a positive 18. So there, you did it. You found the x-intercept, or the zeros, for this problem. Okay, pretty simple. And then number 79 and 81, they want you to find the zeros of this graph. Well, guys, zeros are x-intercepts. So where is this graph crossing the x-axis at? 4, right there. So what is the x? What is the 0 for number 79? The 0 is 4, because that's where the x-intercept is. 81, same thing, guys. Look for the x-intercept. The x-intercept is negative 2. So if the x-intercept is negative 2, then your 0 is also negative 2. Okay? And then moving on now to the multivariable equations. Let me grab a drink here real quick. We'll do 9 of these and we'll be finished, okay? And here we go. Okay, students, we're solving this equation for b. Notice I have 1/2 bh. That is the entire right side of the equation, and that's all one term, correct? They're all multiplying. So if they're all multiplying, we're going to divide by 1/2, and we're also going to multiply by h, okay? So these cancel, but you must also divide the other side by 1/2 h. And if you do that correctly, these canceled out, you're left with b over here. Over here, you're left with a over 1/2 h. Now, the only problem with this is you really never want a fraction within a fraction. Okay, so be really careful here with this, all right? One shortcut you can do, now listen to me, as long as you have one term over one term, you can flip the fraction, if that helps you. And if you flip 1 over 2, you get 2 over 1, which is 2. And you can put that up here. That's the same thing. 2a over h is the exact same thing as a over 1/2 h. That's one shortcut. Another thing you can do is just simply this. You can simply take the top of the a, put it over 1, and say a divided by what? 1/2 h. And if you do that correctly and simplify and invert the fraction and so on, you will get the correct answer, which is, let me erase this here, which is 2a over h, okay? The exact same thing. So there, we solve for b. We know we're done because there's a b over here all by itself and there's no b's over here. All right, number 89. All right, the first thing I would recommend, we're solving for h. First thing I would recommend is you simplify by taking 1/2 h and multiplying it through the parentheses. So 1/2 h times b would be 1/2 hb plus, and then 1/2 h times b subscript 2 would be 1/2 hb subscript 2. And don't forget, we're solving for h. So we would really like to get all of the h terms on one side and then all the other terms on the other side. Now before we do that, I'm seeing some fractions here like in the last problem, and it might be a lot easier, to be honest with you. When we had a equals 1/2 bh, it might have been better to multiply the entire equation by 2, because 2 times a is 2a, and then 2 times 1/2 is just 1bh, and then we could have divided by 1h and been done with it. Okay, so I think we'll try that on this problem here. I don't want these fractions, and my denominator is a 2 and my denominator is a 2, so I'm going to multiply the entire equation by 2 over 1. Now 2 times a is 2a. 2 over 1 times 1 over 2 is 1hb. You don't need to put the 1 in front of the h if you don't want to. 2 over 1 times 1 over 2 is 1hb subscript 2. You don't need to put the 1 if you don't want to. Now, we're solving for h, so notice I have all of my h terms on one side and all my other terms on the other side. So we're looking pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out an h, so I'm left with b subscript 1 plus b subscript 2. And now I can divide both sides by b subscript 1 plus b subscript 2, right? And of course this group cancels with this group, so it's totally gone, and we're left with h equals and we're left with h equals 2a over b subscript 1 plus b subscript 2. Okay, not too bad. Alright, number 93. Okay, same thing. We're solving for c, correct? And normally you'd want to get c all by itself, and that's fine. We'll go ahead and bring the 32 over. We want to get the c terms all by itself, so bring the 32 over and make it a negative 32. So I would have f minus 32 equals 9/5 c. Now we're going to use the same procedure that we used on the last problem to get rid of this fraction. My denominator is a 5, so I'm going to multiply the entire equation by 5. Okay, so 5 times f is 5f. 5 times negative 32 is negative 160. And now watch this. 5 times 9/5 is 9. So I'm left with 9c. 5 times 9/5 is 9c. And now we're going to divide each term by 9, like this. These will cancel. And I'm left with negative 160 over 9. Over here, I'm left with 5f over 9. Okay, so there we go, students. I mean, that's how you do it, and that's how you solve the equation for c. Okay, moving on to number 97, we're solving for h. Now this one's pretty simple, guys. I mean, there's no fractions. Here's my only h term. There's no h here, there's no h here, there's no h here. So there's only one h term, and it's this term right here that I've circled. So you're going to have to move everything else to the other side. Okay, so let's see if we can't do this quickly. 2w plus 2h plus l equals p subscript 2, and we're solving for h. We're solving for h. So I would pick up the l and bring it over here and make it a negative l, and I would pick up the 2w and bring it over and make it a negative 2w. So you're left with, this term is now gone, and this term is now gone. Bring down your equal sign. You're left with 2h over here, and then p subscript 2, and then minus 2w, and then minus l. Okay? And really there's no like terms you can combine over here. There's no other h's. The only h we have is right here. So now just simply divide each term by 2. These cancel out, and you're left with h equals, okay, remember there's a 1 in front of the p subscript 2, so I would have 1/2 p subscript 2, and then negative 2 over a positive 2 would be a negative 1. So negative 1w, and then a negative 1 divided by a positive 2 will give you a negative 1/2. Okay, so there we go. We solved the equation for h. Not too bad. And let's continue on, okay? Working well here. 101, this is the last problem of the homework assignment. We're solving for b. Now, please look at this. There's no b in this term, but there is a b in this term, and there is a b in this term. So what we're going to have to do first is we're going to have to factor out the letter b because we're solving for b. So I have a equals b plus bcd. Let's go ahead and factor out the letter b, and when I do, I'm left with 1 plus cd. 1 plus cd. Alright? Now, if I want to get b by itself, which I do because the problem says solve for b. If I want to get b by itself, then I divide both sides of the equation by 1 plus cd. Okay? So bring down your equal sign. These cancel. You're left with just b. So here's b. And then a over 1 plus cd. And there we go, we did it. We solved this equation right up here for b. Alright, so that's it for the homework. I hope this homework help video has been a help to you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or email.